I know it's a bit late. I'm sorry. I had to power down for a while because the meatbag conduit I'm using to communicate to you with had to perform his physical work to justify his existence. Man, you meatbags in the past are strange. Hello, meatbags. This is the ISO. So Enshrouded is what happens when developers decide to do early access right. Three main things here. The game is feature complete, there's no bugs, and the concept is well thought out and well executed. How is this an early access game? Well, there is a map to play in, and it's limited in size. So when you start to approach the edge of the map, the screen turns red and it says, this is an early access area, go back. And second, there are several structures on the map, as of the update, that opened up and there's new dungeons. So wait, I hear you saying, what is the game? I thought you were reviewing the game. Yeah, sorry, I got caught up in the enthusiasm about the game coming out, and it kind of came out in a weird time too. So it came out between Helldivers and Palworld, right after Palworld, in fact. It's really well polished, and no one seemed to notice that it came out. Well, hopefully until recently. So it really flew under the radar, so to speak. It also managed to somehow dodge the fad effect. It's a popular game by the stretch that we're going here, but it's not so insanely popular that it broke any kind of records, but it seems like it came kind of close to popping off. And as it was about to really get some traction, Helldivers really overshadowed it. I mean, popular nonetheless. So what is it exactly? I've heard it called Palworld, but without pals. Add medieval elements and a really solid crafting system. But is it? Short answer, yeah. It is in fact a survival crafting game. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild decided to have a baby with Valheim and be more serious. I was very impressed at how difficult it was for my 4090 PC to run. I generally only get 90 FPS or something. So, needless to say, very beautiful game. Right away you're thrown into this world that is seemingly destroyed by this fog that has a bunch of undeadish creatures in it. When you walk into it, it says you're enshrouded.
Here I come.
And you have a time limit before the fog, well, kills you. Your goals are to gather up NPCs and wake them from their sleep so you can have them at your base as an intern for all of eternity. They are there to progress your base building. There being a lack of story doesn't really take away from the fun, but I feel like it would be a nice touch to add. Kind of like how Minecraft has a final boss, and not much else. Speaking of Minecraft, this game has the best, as far as I can tell, base building mechanics ever. You put down a flame and it acts kind of like a central point of your base, and it's to limit how large your base can be. And you can build above or below ground, not dissimilar to Minecraft. This kind of reminds me of modded Minecraft, where you can get like quarter or eighth size blocks and go into some pretty insane detail in your base builds. And it does look very natural. I made this epic chamber pot early game, and look, man's got a shit. Don't want to get no hookworm. Ignore the fact that it's in my bedroom. So yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about the crafting other than it's pretty awesome, and it does get a little repetitive though. There's comfort ratings just like in Valheim, where each tier of comfort item adds an increased amount of time in the rested bonus that you have. When your rested bonus runs out, you really feel like the enemies are able to really take a shit on you, because when you block, it takes stamina. I decided to spec up a wizard close to 100%. Buttery decided to go with combat tank guy. I gotta say the wizard is really based. Not necessarily because it's better than the tank guy or the fighter, but because the game decides to give out a lot more magic items in chests and rewards. Like, it's really hard to find a one-hander when you level up a fighting character, whereas finding a wand is practically in every dungeon. If I could really sum up the game, it's like Breath of the Wild got smashed into Valheim. There are towers that you go to unlock a fast travel, and then you use the glider to go down to the places that you see from the tower. The gliding is very nice. Lots of fun. There's a little boost ability that lets you kind of double jump while you're gliding, which is really cool idea. But because it barely takes any stamina, you can go really far. And also diving is a whole lot of fun too. Combat feels nice too. It's less on the Dark Souls style of gameplay and more on the Zelda style of gameplay. But once enemies start snowballing on you, it really does get kind of hard. It's a really good idea to bring along a friend if you're able to. So one of the major negatives that I noticed is that, like with any crafting game, there's a lot of items you have to manage, and inventory gets out of hand pretty quick. I'm not even sure at this point what a good system looks like in a survival game, but some people really seem to enjoy managing a bunch of items. I really don't. I just started my own D&D campaign, and as I stated in one of my previous videos, links will be over here or somewhere. Our DM went on break indefinitely, so I had to take over, and now I am King DM Robot Douchebag from another time. So anyways, but the point I'm making here is that I hate inventory management so much that I enforce a bulk rule in my game for my players. And like your player's not going to be able to carry 3 sets of armors without like holding them up like in front of you. Like you're not going to be walking across or doing any combat with it. You're going to have to throw that off while you do it. That's why I encourage people to use a bag of holding. You know, I encourage people to buy it in the game. But also if they find gear, they're not going to be able to sell it because the world that I've built is kind of post-apocalypse, so there aren't a whole lot of shops to sell to. And it's kind of a pain from go to a dungeon to a town to sell stuff. And so I made this thing where they're able to convert random gear into gold, and they're able to use that gold to enhance their weapons and stuff. So they don't have to manage a huge inventory of junk. I don't know how many times I've been playing an RPG or any survival game and went, man, if there was just some way I could turn this stuff into something useful, that'd be nice. But yeah, anyways, I chose the magic user, and it seems like wands are the meta. You can dodge enemies and use a shield and use the wand and kite like crazy. Like, you can make it so they can't even touch you, and you can just do tons of damage. And the only real limitation is range. Like, it's got a pretty short range, but like if you really need to hit something far away with your magic, you got staff. And the staff is kind of not as good, but it does do a lot of damage really far away. So like there's some examples of like there are these like mini bosses that you got to fight. They call them matrons. And you can just stand on top of like a building or like a hill or a mountain or something like that and just shoot your staff magic at it until it's dead, because it's got this like splash damage that goes down. It goes down instead of up, so it can't hit you. But you don't really need to use the staff if you don't really want to. Even then, some enemies fly and they're able to shoot back at you, so it can get kind of hectic if you're not really super prepared or you don't have backup like with a friend. But it's a good idea to have potions on hand, like healing potions specifically. Another maybe negative, I would say, maybe positive, depends on like what style of gameplay you like. Death is kind of meaningless in the game. When you die, you drop a gravestone at your location. You only drop certain items though, so like resources or things that you're going out to get, like wood or metal or something like that, and it stays at that location. You spawn back at wherever the closest spawn point is. You know, if you're at a waypoint, you go to the waypoint, but you keep all of the things on you that like keep your character alive. So your weapons, your armor, your potions, your charges, everything stays on your character, which I think it really appeals to the casual player. But to the hardcore, it significantly lowers the difficulty. So it'd be nice if there was an option if they had a hardcore mode where you drop near everything or everything, making your death actually make it something you're afraid of. I mean, that's what happens at Valheim, so, you know, there's that. So that's more or less what the game is about. There was an update that recently added a bunch of really nice quality of life stuff in the game, like pinging the map and splitting stacks. So these are some pretty basic features that are normally in survival games, but it's really good to see that the developer is putting out some of these updates really fast, and quite a bit of them. Apparently there's a huge list of things done in the game. One of the big things is that there's a huge dungeon that I mentioned in each area, and I've heard nothing but awesome things about it. I personally haven't gotten able to do it yet, but I will try it soon. But I'm surprised there isn't a raid mechanic yet, or at least one planned that I'm aware of. And it seems maybe a little bit too much to ask so early on in the game's development, but there's no real incentive to build out any defenses or really base structures to begin with. Buttery and I decided to just make a hole in the ground and call it good. Like in Valheim, I made this massive stone block castle with a moat around it, and there was actually a mechanical reason to do that. And here I'm not really incentivized to build anything else, which kind of bums me out a little bit. It has such a really good building system. I got bored one day and decided to make a tower, and I got really high up and I was able to extend the base bubble up beyond the main base. But then I looked out at the other towers and noticed that they were higher up than where I was, so I gave up. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting into it as a supplement, it's $30 on Steam right now. It's got server support on Steam up to 16 players. Definitely recommend checking out with at least one other person to tag along. But also keep in mind that for how awesome this game is and the volume of content there is, this game is going to have a lot more content for it soon. And here's I'm hoping it doesn't stall out like Valheim did. Shit, I've been waiting for Ashlands forever. Thanks for making it to the end, Meatbag. I don't have cake, but I do have cookies, and they're not tainted by the dark side. And it comes in the form of my Discord. I usually hang out there, you know, for fun. I play games and whatnot, and if you're interested in playing some Enshrouded with me, hit me up there. I usually play the games that I review. And you can be part of the channel in a direct way by subbing, so my meatbag won't have to justify his existence by lifting heavy equipment all day. But I appreciate the view, and I hope to see you in the next one, Meatbag.